Everyone talks about how affordable Memphis is. Low home prices, incredible food, deep culture, and no state income tax. On the surface, it really does sound like a no-brainer, but here's the part that doesn't always make it into those highlight reels. Memphis has a personality, and it's not for everyone. There are things about living here that will either feel completely normal or completely overwhelming, depending on what you're used to. So before you pack up everything and make the move, you need to know what you're walking into, because today I'm breaking down 8 things you really need to be able to handle if you're going to live in Memphis and actually enjoy it. Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Jen Garensson, a local real estate expert right here in Memphis. My team at the Live Love Memphis group, we've been helping people relocate here since 2008. And after working with hundreds of buyers over the years, I can tell you this with complete confidence. The people who end up loving Memphis are the ones who just understand it before they get here. Not just the highlights, but the full picture. Because this city will give you a lot, but it also asks you to adjust in ways you might not expect. So let's start with the one that always comes up first because it matters. Let's just be real about it. Memphis has historically higher than average crime rates compared to many US cities, especially when it comes to property crime like car break-ins and theft. And yeah, there are areas where violent crime is a concern. But here's what people don't always understand until they're here. Memphis is extremely neighborhood specific. Your experience can look completely different depending on where you live, where you spend time, how aware you are, just day to day. There are areas that feel quiet and established and very secure. And there are areas where you do need to be more cautious. Locals don't ignore this, we just adapt. That might look like choosing certain neighborhoods intentionally, having cameras or alarm systems, being mindful where you park, or even just being more aware of your surroundings. If you're coming from somewhere you've never had to think about any of that, this can feel like a big adjustment at first. But if you're willing to be intentional, Memphis becomes much easier to navigate. You can't just treat it like it's the same everywhere because it's not. Now, let's talk about something you will feel almost immediately, and that's the weather. Memphis summers are no joke, and it's not just the temperature, it's the humidity. It's that thick, heavy air where you walk outside and you instantly feel like it's really tough to breathe. There's really just no escaping it. From late June through early September, you're looking at temps in the 90s pretty much every day. And the heat index can easily push into triple digits. And what really gets people, it does not let up. It's hot in the morning, it's hot at night, it's just kind of lingering. And that actually changes how you live your life. It's not surprising that people here run errands earlier in the day. They plan outdoor activities in the morning or evening. You'll see a lot of landscaping happening in the morning and later in the night. And overall, you're going to want to stay very aware of the heat. So if you're coming from a cooler or drier climate, this can be one of the hardest adjustments. Now, the trade-off is real though. Now, the winters here are generally really mild. The snow is rare, ice happens occasionally, but you have to be okay earning that with a true southern summer. And this one surprises people more than you'd think. If you're coming from a city where you can walk everywhere, rely on trains, or use public transit daily, Memphis is going to feel very different. Public transportation does exist, but it's limited and not widely used for daily commuting. Memphis is definitely a driving city. So for most people, having a car isn't optional, it's part of your lifestyle. But the upside, traffic here is generally much more manageable than cities like Atlanta, Dallas, or LA. But the trade-off is distance, so everything is spread out. So whether it's work, school, groceries, restaurants, like you're driving to all of it. And this is exactly why choosing the right neighborhood matters so much. A 10 to 15 minute difference in commute might not seem like a big deal at first, but over time it absolutely adds up. Now, let's talk about something that can really impact your move long-term, your job. Memphis does have strong industries. Logistics is huge here. Memphis is a major shipping hub with FedEx being headquartered here. Healthcare is another big one with St. Jude. You've also got education, manufacturing, distribution. But outside of those areas, the job market can feel a bit limited compared to larger cities, especially if you're in a specialized field. So what we tend to see is people relocating here, they usually fall into one of 3 categories. They already have a job, they're transferring with a company, or they work remotely. Now, can you move here first and figure it out after? Yeah, absolutely, but it does take some planning. And one thing to keep in mind, that while the cost of living is lower, salaries can reflect that too. So it's just something you want to go into with a clear plan. Now, if you're seriously considering a move to Memphis and want a full breakdown of neighborhoods, commute times, pricing, and what life actually looks like here, I've put together a free relocation guide. It's the exact same one I give to my clients, and you can grab it with a QR code on the screen or just click the link in the description. This is one people don't always expect, but they definitely notice it once they get here. Memphis consistently ranks among tougher seasons for seasonal allergies, especially in the spring and fall. And we're not talking about a little pollen here and there. There are days when you literally see it coating your car. That green-yellow layer, that's totally real. It's on my car right now. It comes from trees, grass, weeds, and because of the climate, those allergy seasons can feel longer and absolutely more intense. But what catches people off guard is this: if you've never even had allergies before, you might start noticing symptoms here. For some people, it's mild. For others, it becomes really a part of their daily routine for a few weeks at a time. So antihistamines, air purifiers, checking pollen counts, all of that becomes like part of your daily regimen. But the good news is most people figure out what works pretty quickly. But it is something that you're going to need to be aware of going into this. Memphis weather can be a little unpredictable. You can have a calm, sunny day, and then within hours, it shifts to thunderstorms, heavy rain, strong winds, tornado warnings. Because of where Memphis sits geographically, it does get its fair share of severe weather patterns, including thunderstorms and occasional tornado warnings. Now, to be clear, this isn't a daily issue. Most days are totally normal, but when the storms come through, there can be intense periods where people are really nervous. So people here tend to stay weather aware with apps and alerts and just keeping an eye on things. It becomes second nature pretty quickly. Memphis is not a brand new city. It has a lot of history, and that shows. You'll see older roads, older infrastructure, areas that haven't been fully updated. Now, some neighborhoods are beautifully maintained and constantly improving, and others still show their age. For some people, that's part of the charm. For others, especially if you're used to newer, more polished cities, it can take some adjustment. It's just something to be aware of. And this really ties everything together. Memphis just moves differently. It's not as fast-paced as places like Nashville or Dallas. It's not trying to be overly polished or constantly reinvent itself. There's like a steadiness to it, a little grit, a little edge, but also a lot of authenticity. This is a city where culture is real. You feel it in the music, and you see it in the food, and you notice it in how people interact. People are friendly and welcoming, but life here can feel a little bit more laid back. Things don't always move at a rushed pace, and depending on your personality, that can either feel refreshing or frustrating. There's also a strong sense of pride here. Memphis has deep roots, especially in music, food, and civil rights history, and that identity is still very present. Some people connect with that immediately, and others, they take a little time. So here's the honest truth. Memphis will challenge you in ways you might not expect. You'll deal with crime awareness, intense summer heat, car-dependent lifestyle, a job market that requires planning, allergies, unpredictable weather, and a city that shows its age. But at the same time, you're getting affordability that's getting harder to find. You're getting real culture, not manufactured, incredible food, and neighborhoods where your money actually goes further. The people who love Memphis don't ignore the downsides. They understand them, and they decide the trade-offs are worth it. The real question is, will you? If you're thinking about making Memphis your home and you want help figuring out where you should be looking based on your lifestyle, your budget, and priorities, my team and I would love to help. Start with that free relocation guide in the description. And if this video helped you, hit that like button. It really does help. Subscribe, tap the bell, and if you've got questions, drop them in the comments. I do read every single one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.